This is one of my favorites, ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages. My name is Michael Fazio, and I am the author of the AngelsOnTheArk.com, located at Amazon and on my private site. This is a picture of a Nautilus swimming through the ocean. This is the eyes of the Nautilus. From the vertical view, you would see this almost identical depiction from the vertical view of a Nautilus. If you go online and Google it, that's what you will see. From the vertical head of the Nautilus, you will see something that looks exactly like this with the feet, or they're called foots. This is the feelers that go through the water like this and filter out the energy of the water. These webbing is the energy of the universe. These feet are filtering energy from the water or the universe so that it can propel the Lord God's chariot in a direction. This is the eyes of the Nautilus. This is the Lord God represented as the conquering of Satan, who is the eagle, a representation. He has covered the war bonnet with the pyramid, and the only thing that's left is the eagle, which is underfoot of the Lord God. And the nuclear detonation, the Lord is utilizing for a power source rather than a destructive nature. And He is utilizing this same energy because on a metaphysical level, nuclear energy is the closest thing to the energy of God. Don't ask me how I know. I was told this by a spirit entity when I was 14 years old, and I didn't even know what nuclear energy was. Take my word for it. Nuclear energy is as close to a godlike energy as possible. One of the only descriptions I can give you is because it has to do with light and Euclidean optics, which I have repeatedly described to you, represent the Lord God. And here we have a picture of a man facing outwards, another picture of a man facing upwards. The men that are depicted here and here are the faces like a man but not a man in Revelations 4 chapter 6. Now, if this represents the beginning of the Cambrian age, aka when life started on Earth at the 300 billion year mark, it busted into 33 life forms that are discernible in the museum. The Nautilus was one of those forms. Also, the vampire squid, which this represents, but I'm not going to get into that now, was also another life form that had a distinct representation of the Lord God, putting it here on a genetic level, because 33 different species of creature appeared on Earth at the explosion of the Cambrian age, and every one of those 33 creatures, multi-celled creatures, for the first time when the Cambrian era exploded, there were no multi-celled creatures. Within a few hundred-year period that they can discern, there were 33 multi-celled creatures with full working optical nerve systems to a rudimentary brain. This represents the Nautilus. This represents another one, the vampire bat. This represents the Lord God conquering the evil. This represents the Lord God utilizing a nuclear detonation for its purpose to blast off into the universe. And this represents the end of the world. If you look at this, it would be the letter E and the letter U opposing one another. The beginning of our world, the end of our world. When the Lord God takes the $1 bill off the market and the European Union comes into play, the world ends. End game. You can Google anything you want. The world ends when they take the $1 bill off the market. The European Union will remove fiscal paper money, will put the chip in you in order to so you could pay your bills, and then the world ends according to every theory in the world that has ever been implemented. The world ends when they start chipping people. You put the chip in you, you become part of the end of the world. We discussed this in another video. This is the God pod that's described perfectly in Hebrews chapter 4 verse 10. The oceans, the trees, the promised land represented by the 1776 in Roman numerals, the rain and the moisture, which is the heavens, the sky, the rain, the moisture, which is the entire heavens, and the eye of God within the glory that comes as a portal from earth to heaven and from heaven to earth. The energy is bounced back and forth between the Lord God. The Lord God watches us, and we can see the Lord God. This is our ability to see the Lord God here on earth. These are very simple. The angels in a different color. These represent the crystalline nature of the word one. Nowhere else on the entire bill, front or back, is the design, the background design of a crystalline nature. When I blow this up to a 10 or 12 power, you can see an identical structure of a crystalline nature. No place else does it exist, because this is the sea of glass spoken about in the Bible, and the glass is God, because God is of a nature of light. He utilizes Euclidean optics to come to this world via the light. He utilizes Euclidean optics so that these men who guard, G-A-U-R-D, the Ark of the Covenant, which are the cherub, which are the men that guard the Ark of the Covenant, their Euclidean optics represented as Euclidean optics and wings. The three sets of wings of the highest cherubim, and the ability for the cherub to see the Lord God at all times, to keep an eye on the Lord God, to protect the Lord God. This is the way the Bible was written. Because no one but myself has been able to interpret it, doesn't mean I'm wrong. Einstein was laughed at. This is the mercy seat, again, in pink. The first in God we trust law. First law, God's first commandment. In God we trust one. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Not a Catholic God, not a Christian God, not a Protestant God. Just God. Just a force called God. The mercy seat. One God sits upon the mercy seat. In real life, you only see this five-pointed pentagram always associated in the pyramid, but you can make a pentagram in the evil seat of death. Why has no one ever utilized these points, the outermost points of the five most outermost points that form a pentagram? Either this point here, which I make with that as well, or the banner. I utilize the banner because these points go through the eagle's eye as the five-pointed pentagram. There's a reason that it should go through the eye and not go to the wings. The reason is that way you can see the words, E pluribus unum. If you put it towards the wings, it cancels out the words. And the letters, 13 letters in E pluribus unum, must be seen because they are one of the evils within the evil seat of death. This is the Indians' war bonnet. The Indians' war bonnet. And ladies and gentlemen, you know it, and I know it. I should get a bigger camera. But believe me, there are 13 evils in the evil seat of death. On my book, in my book, I describe all of them. I need a bigger camera.